energy drinks. Y'all be drinking those, man? I remember back in high school, we used to drink Monsters like crazy. Yeah, but they're not too good for you. They're not too good for you. But let's go ahead and get into this video though. 17-year-old dies from energy drink. Video by Coach Carlton. All right, let's check it out.
This young girl who has passed away due to an overconsumption of caffeine. 27 most sold energy drinks and found that 16 of them had more than 20% over the listed amount of caffeine per can. Hold your seatbelt, folks.
Disclaimer, this video is educational and informative in nature. Do not contact anyone shown in this video. Also, this video is discussing steroids. Do not use steroids. This is entirely for educational and entertainment purposes only.
Alani Nu says it is a healthy lifestyle brand, but the health examiner examining a 17-year-old body who just recently passed away says completely otherwise.
A family in Texas has filed a wrongful death lawsuit against a popular energy drink brand, claiming the drink is marketed toward teens and did not warn about the health risks.
This is Alani Nu, marketed to young women as a health and lifestyle brand. You can notice tons of pink cans, influencers that are aesthetic, fit, and what most would say conventionally attractive, and 200 milligrams of caffeine per 12 ounces of fluid, which is an extremely large amount actually, and it is labeled as a high quality nutritional supplement. Yeah, on the webpage, it is supposedly a great product. They even mention things like hormonal balance and designed to support your goals, things that are very attractive to a young girl, I'm sure. Well, recently a 17-year-old in Texas was consuming them regularly. The medical examiner found that her heart was significantly enlarged. The diagnosis was cardiomyopathy, and the cause...
How much you gotta drink to get to that point? Heart enlarged, that's not good at all.
Was caffeine intake. Again, this was a 17-year-old girl who was a cheerleader. There is no steroids, there is no SARMs, there is no insulin or growth hormone, just really well done marketing of an energy drink that she favored over others. It is made to look like a wellness product that fits the cute girlies who like to stay active on occasion. Now, there's a lot of this hysteria around Alani Nu, and it is basically that it has some kind of witch's brew in it, right? Like there's something evil in the product inherently. While I don't know if that much is true. In fact, I don't think it is. There is a lot to be discussed and extract out of their formulation and in general, the energy drink market. And let me tell you, I'm a bit of an expert. And this isn't something new for the brand either.
Wait, those are cans back there. Dang.
The energy-based supplement brands have been around and tarnished over and over again all over the place. If you remember, Bang Energy had the fake super creatine on their products to sell and label. In fact, that is what they got a lawsuit for. Well, there is nothing called super creatine. I mean, it's simple as that. Or you have people like this. This doctor guy is kind of cucking out a little bit with this artificial sweetener stuff. I bet my labs look way more pristine than this chud. To be honest, the whole artificial sweetener debate, if you can't tell, I don't really care. I've had pretty damn good lab work for the past 7 years of my life, and I get it done very regularly. Don't have any digestive issues. I don't really have any problems to begin with. I often find that these issues are easy to grab onto and mystify and get people to view content and extrapolate ideas about how radical artificial sweeteners are, when really they're probably just fine. But anyways, do you remember back in the day when the Monster cans used to say this, it was a warning label, do not consume more than a certain amount of ounces per day. In fact, I think it was the early label.
Wait, they don't say that no more? I remember back in my days, in my high school days, they used to say that on every can. Now, did we listen to it? Nah. But they did say that. They don't say that no more. That should be illegal.
Said 3 16-ounce cans or 48 ounces per day. That was the maximum tolerable limit. And I remember that me and my friends, we would kind of like a dumb challenge, to be honest. As kids, we would stack up all our pennies and shit and go see who could drink the most amount of Monsters to get as close to that 48-ounce limit per day. I would always lose because I'm extremely sensitive to caffeine. Believe it or not, I know this is a lot of months and months and months of work behind me. I know it seems counterintuitive in terms of marketing here, but I am extremely sensitive to caffeine, and most of the time,
how much y'all think he spent on Monsters to get his wall filled like that?
I can't even tolerate it. Well, this is turned up to 11 now because most drinks come with a standard of 300 milligrams of caffeine in them, but in also lower fluid volumes. And they don't have limitation warnings. There is no warning saying, hey, don't drink more than 3 cans. Don't drink more than 2 cans per day. But you know what else is turned up to 11? Today's sponsor, Raycon.
Oh,
Ad time.
Find a gift that your mom. And thank you to Raycon for sponsoring today's video.
Ad over.
In today's world, you can get smaller
getting
cans
paid?
with less fluid and have more caffeine. May I remind you, a typical Monster can has about 140 milligrams of caffeine, where compared to Alani Nu's program here, they got and doubled the amount of caffeine. So they have way less fluid and way more caffeine, which sounds good on paper.
that's like the equivalent to about, I think, like 4 cups of coffee, like normal coffee. That's a lot.
Because people like caffeine, they like being able to feel energetic. However, your heart doesn't have the same kind.
Are y'all some caffeine drinkers? Are y'all like coffee and energy drinkers? Like me, I've never really been one. My I guess my tolerance to caffeine is too high because I've never really drank coffee or had caffeine and it really just worked. I just drank it for the taste, but it never like gave me that boost, and I never got like the caffeine jitters that people be talking about and stuff like that. Sometimes I wish it did work for me because there was times when I was real tired and tried some coffee and it didn't do nothing for me. But I don't know. What about for y'all? Y'all got a caffeine tolerance?
Kind of idea. This really has come to a head lately because what has been trending a lot on X is this young girl who has passed away due to an overconsumption of caffeine. During the examination, the examiner found that just at the age of 17, she was already experiencing a significantly, not just moderately, a significantly enlarged heart. And the cause of her death was cardiomyopathy due to an over-exaggerated intake of caffeine. Now, this is a condition where the heart struggles extremely hard to pump blood efficiently throughout the body. This is because the myocardium, or the muscle in the heart, enlarges, thickens, and becomes more dense and more stiff. And typically, that results in sudden heart failure. And when we talk about this stuff, which I often do, this exact sort of situation, it's referring to bodybuilders who are blasting steroids, who are doing swaths of drugs, stimulants and peptides and all sorts of things. Most people will not associate this with caffeine intake. And of course, this young girl's drink of choice was the good old Alani Nu drink, which has an astonishing 200 milligrams of caffeine contained in a 12-ounce can. But there is something more insidious about this. Per sip, Alani has 65% more caffeine than the competitor drink, which would, let's say, be Monster, the masculine version in this case. And hold your seatbelt, folks. A consumer report tested the 27 most sold energy drinks and found that 16 of them had more than 20% over the listed amount of caffeine per can. And it's very common that supplements in general have been mislabeled in the past several years. In fact, the majority are mislabeled, not even a minority.
I bet you there's probably some like stupid law like, oh, you got to be within 20% of what you put on the label and then you're good to go. Just like how like there's a certain amount of human flesh that can be in McDonald's for them to actually serve it. Yeah, enjoy that McChicken.
The majority of tested supplements on market are mislabeled, whether that means underdosed or overdosed or having completely different products within them. And a more recent consumer report done showed something very similar, except they got numbers that were closer to 16%. And the fact that these two are very varied is also concerning because it shows indications that it is a per batch issue, not necessarily a brand issue. So things can vary. Who knows how much? It's volatile.
And sometimes it's just too much. It's just
All
too
up in my face.
stressful.
So the likelihood that these drinks, in specific the Alani, is inaccurate is quite high. Furthermore, this is based completely on batches. We don't know the volatility of a batch-to-batch caffeine dose. Maybe they order a batch of 2 million cans, and that 2 million cans lasts 3 to 4 months, and it tests appropriately, so the FDA looks at it and says, hey, this is good. We're good to go here, guys. But then the next batch they send in, whether that's some kind of mistake at the manufacturing line line where they input into the machine to manufacture the product and it's just a little bit off, or maybe it's a thing that the company says, hey, bump it up by like 20 milligrams of caffeine, just add a little bit more in there. We want a little bit more za in our drink, because after all, caffeine is addictive. So it means that more of it is likely going to equate to more sales. Recent data put global consumption around 180 million 60 kilogram bags per year. That's an insane amount of coffee, reflecting deeply embedded daily usage within America, Europe, Asia, I mean, all over the world. And it's a rapidly growing market. It continues to expand. So you get the point. Caffeine, good. It makes sales. It gets people to buy more product. So it is likely that this young girl was really consuming an insane amount of these drinks because, one, the marketing is really catchy, and two, it is addicting and awesome. You like the feeling of feeling energetic. Most people do. It is a good feeling to be like dialed in most of the time. And of course, when you're having somebody who
Never felt that from coffee or caffeine at all. Let me try to think. Is there anything that got me dialed in? Creatine. Creatine will do that for me.
was an athlete, she was a cheerleader, and this brand is reputable as sort of like a healthy lifestyle brand, a fitness brand, if you will. It kind of puts two and two together. Like, this is the perfect kind of girl that they're targeting with their marketing. And here's the thing about caffeine, and I don't think a lot of people actually conceptualize this and understand it. And I know, again, you're looking behind me and saying,
What the hell are you talking about, Colton? You're doing this.
I know what I'm doing. And I also take countermeasures to accommodate that. But I don't think a lot of people understand or do take those countermeasures. Caffeine, even at small doses, is vasoconstrictive, and I genuinely think that this is something people just don't get. A single dose, as low as about 1 to 2 milligrams per kilogram of body weight, already produces detectable reductions in cerebral blood flow. A 250 milligram bolus of caffeine is enough to reduce cerebral blood flow by from 25 to 30%. That is a really...
He said a what? A bolus? Is that word somewhere on here? What's a bolus? What do you mean?
A 250 milligram bolus of caffeine is enough to reduce cerebral blood flow by from 25 to 30%. That is a really hard number. Like, that is well documented.
Write that down.
Experimental work shows that oral caffeine in coffee acutely increases arterial stiffness and peripheral vascular resistance and blood pressure at doses around 150 to 300 milligrams of caffeine. Most of you watching this aren't probably just drinking energy drink, realistically, because I think maybe one energy drink a day is not the end of the world. But it's the fact that people drink an energy drink, they have a pre-workout, then coffee later on in the day, and all of these things compound to get up to like 500 to 800 milligrams of caffeine per day. And you, meanwhile, think it's a better option. You're thinking it makes your workouts better, it makes you more productive, it makes your days better. However, this young girl dying is a part due to what the caffeine intake does to a person, what it does to you. Some of the smart nuggets in our audience here might actually call out something that is included in most energy drinks and is true with Monster as well. Taurine. It's supposed to reduce the outcomes of an exaggerated caffeine intake. Isn't that supposed to stop all of this from happening? Well, no, my friend. No, it is not. Brands have no disclosure to how much taurine is included in their product. It could genuinely be piss all or irrelevant amounts. You need to reach a certain threshold dose to actually get the effects that are often touted with taurine usage. 2, taurine is often labeled as cardioprotective by many studies, generally products, which there is merit to this, just not as much as you'd think. Taurine stabilizes cellular water and ion content without destabilizing the cellular membrane and causing lots of issues with enzymes that are reacting inside of the cell and outside of the cell. Specifically, it helps optimize...
Y'all following what he's saying? The big scientific words?
Sodium and calcium in...
Put in the comments if you are.
In cardiac tissues, which again, you're thinking, well, wouldn't that inhibit the negative outcomes of caffeine? Not necessarily, because the excitation is based around almost an adrenaline-based response. And so you have a cardiac tissue that is excitatory more often than not. Taurine also can, big word here is can, activate glycine receptors and at a higher concentration, GABA receptors. This produces basically chloride, and that causes hyperpolarized neurons and reduces neuron excitability. A lot of words here. You don't need to worry about it. Basically, the theory is that taurine is supposed to reduce cardiac excitation, but the problem is taurine doesn't last as long as caffeine does, and it's not going to completely nullify the effects of an exaggerated caffeine intake, as well as we just literally have no idea what the dose of taurine is. There's no label here to tell me how much taurine is in this monster, for example. Touching back on this, taurine doesn't last as long as caffeine does. What does that mean? Well, caffeine has about a 5 to 6 hour half-life, and that's the half-life. And what that means is essentially if you consume 100 milligrams of caffeine, by 5 to 6 hours, you'll have 50 milligrams residually left over. And then in another 5 to 6 hours, you'll have 25 milligrams representative in your blood serum. And then within another 5 to 6 hours,
That's why you're not supposed to drink caffeine after noon. I think it's about noon. Definitely not after like 4 or 5 p.m. It'll mess with your sleep. And sleep is one of the most important things that you need to be on top of. Just a little side note.
you'll have, 12.5 milligrams and so on and so forth. But the problem is that most people aren't just having one dose of caffeine a day. They're having one in the morning, one a couple hours later, one at 1 o'clock, maybe even one later. So they're sitting with caffeine in blood like 24/7. From morning to night to the time that they're sleeping, there's caffeine there. So again, for energy drinks, I mean, it's good marketing to put taurine in because it seems like it's going to be a protective element, but it's actually not doing too much, especially if you're a person that's chronically drinking energy drinks from morning to night. And I know that especially a lot of the younger demographics of this world tend to do that. That is the norm. It's very likely what this girl is doing. I mean, she was probably drinking one before school, then at practice, and then maybe after practice to get homework done. And by the end of the day, she's got 600 milligrams flowing through her veins. If she didn't have caffeine other places like coffee or other things like this, chances are she probably stopped at Starbucks every now and then, got a little bit more caffeine, and you end up with a situation where a girl's, a small girl, a person who is very low body weight, probably has close to 800 milligrams of caffeine in her serum at any point in time, constantly throttling her heart rate, elevating blood pressure, causing cerebral blood flow issues, and resulting in issues just like this one. I don't think, Alani Nu is necessarily like this witch brew that people claim it is on TikTok and things. I do think, however, that it represents a larger issue, which is the misuse of caffeine in the general population, but also especially within the younger years of our general population. Those folks love caffeine. They abuse the shit out of energy drinks. Fairly enough, they're awesome. They taste good. They get productivity to go really, really high, but the end point of that ain't so great. My general rule of thumb as a person for my own health, and generally when I'm recommending it to other people, try not to exceed 300 milligrams of caffeine a day. It's not always the best idea to be constantly go, 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 go. You need a trough in your day. You need a reduced amount of exposure to excitation. Your brain needs that. Your heart needs that. Your lungs need that. Your kidneys need that. Your hepatic and renal system, they need these things. That is a critical feature of being a human. We can't always be Mr. Optimal. We need to slow down. But understandably, that is not a consideration that most people will have. And unfortunately, it ends up with situations just like this young girl passing. So I'm sorry to those of her friends and family who have had to suffer through this. It's unfortunate, but hopefully it helps some people learn that caffeine is no joke. It is a drug. It is very, very effective at stimulating cardiac tissues and can cause long-term really bad problems with heart function. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking.
That's interesting. But that's some real stuff, man. Lucky for me, I never got hooked on caffeine. It's never really even affected me that much. But I know plenty of people that, you know those people like, don't talk to me in the morning till I've had my cup of coffee and stuff like that. I've never been able to even get to that point. I rarely even think about coffee. I do drink, I have some mushroom coffee that I try to drink regularly. I try to remember to have a cup of that in the morning, but it's not even for the caffeine. It's got like, I think it's got like a half or a quarter of the amount of like a regular cup of coffee. But it's, it's made of mushrooms. It's good for gut health and stuff. So look into that if you want to, worry about your gut health, because gut health affects everything in our body, just like almost everything else in our body. Who am I kidding? But yeah, man, this is big. Condolences to this girl's family and stuff, because that's real tragic to have your high school daughter pass away from drinking too many energy drinks. Shoot, I halfway hope they do win that lawsuit, because it does look like it's marketed to kids. I can't lie. Like, that stuff look It looks like a fruit punch in a can almost. But yeah, this was real interesting, man. This was real interesting just to even see how much caffeine they're pumping into these drinks all the time and stuff. Like, after looking at this, I'm glad I'm still here after all the monsters that we was drinking in high school. Because in my high school, we had a skateboard team, like an actual skateboard team ran by the school. It wasn't just a group of us going to the skate park. And I was on there, and every time we went to the skate park for our team outings, every single time we went out for practice or whatever, we're grabbing monsters. Like at least 2 of them joints every time. And I was just drinking them because they tasted good. Maybe the caffeine did hit me and I ain't noticed, but I mean, I had high school energy, so maybe it didn't make no difference. I definitely didn't need the energy. It just tasted good. We was just grabbing them joints. But yeah, and make sure y'all stay safe with that caffeine, man. And I don't know what it feels like to be hooked on caffeine or have like cravings for it, but if you're hooked on anything and got cravings, you should do your best to fight it. Definitely take some breaks. Take some breaks and make sure you stay balanced. Don't imbalance your dopamine levels. That'll mess up your cortisol levels. That makes you stressed. And then if you're stressed out, you age faster, you're gonna die soon. So everything in moderation, man. Everything in moderation. But yeah, with that being said, man, that's all for this video right here. But stay safe out there. Stay blessed. Peace out, y'all.